Customary here at Introblocks, could you please give our listeners a quick introduction on what is blockchain and how does it work?
So we're sitting here in IBM's South Bank offices. So clearly what we're going to be talking about today are blockchains for business. So here we're talking about private permission blockchains. And if you ask yourself the question, what is the initial problem that a private blockchain network is trying to solve? And what are the opportunities that come from solving that problem? The initial problem, I think, is about trying to optimize shared business-to-business processes. Now, this is a problem that we've had for a long time. And our solution in the past has always been to put in a central intermediary, somebody in the middle, to act as a central database to smooth out that shared process. Now, the big problem with this is that increasingly data is becoming more and more valuable. So the businesses in the network are getting less and less enthusiastic to give away their data to this central intermediary. And what blockchain does in the first instance is it gives us a super elegant approach to sharing this process across the members of the ecosystem in such a way that no one person is in charge of the data and that all the members can have a say in how that data is governed. So each member has a copy of the ledger. So this is a full history of commerce over time. And they're running a smart contract, which is where the process itself, that is the shared process, has been codified. Who needs to do what to move the status of our asset as it moves up and down that shared process and as trades of ownership are made. And when one of these transactions is proposed to update the ledger, a consensus mechanism is used so that all the members of the network can come into agreement as to what is the status of this asset as it moves through this process. So this is a really elegant way of fixing an old problem to enable us to optimize that process to remove friction. But there's a really interesting opportunity that builds on top of this. So we've now created a new asset, which is trusted data at the level of the market. And we put in privacy controls, so only the people who need to see data have a right to see that data and are seeing it. But having created this new asset, which has never existed before, this then is the foundation stone to create new types of business and new types of marketplaces. And this is what I'm seeing now as I work with networks around the world, that we're kind of at that transition from saying blockchain is about optimizing a process and removing friction to saying, gosh, holy smokes, there's an opportunity here to innovate. There's an opportunity here to build new digital products and services. It's almost like the basis of competition has kind of gone up a level. So we're saying as an ecosystem that there are areas where it's now in my interest, in your interest, to collaborate with potentially our competitors. And we'll talk about that a bit later on, I'm sure. But then there's an opportunity to then compete above that, as maybe you bring in your own private data, you bring in your own private capabilities, combine it with that trusted data at the level of the market to create a new innovative product to bring to market on a competitive basis. So that's kind of what I'm seeing, that blockchain is starting by optimizing that process, that shared process, to give us visibility of the asset as it moves up and down that process, up and down the supply chain. It's giving us the provenance all the way from the back, all the way through to the front, so we can charge a bit more for that asset because we can prove its provenance. And it's giving us the ability to automate some of those paper processes. However, we're starting with a very, very thin layer of blockchain as we look to optimize that shared process. We really want to avoid doing any changes to the back-end systems at this stage. We want to leave them alone as much as possible as we put in that thin layer, which is letting us optimize the shared process. Optimize all of that paperwork, all the phone calls, all the Excel spreadsheets. We can remove all of that reconciliation work common view of the data at the level of the market.
Excellent.